Welcome to the official opening of the European Big Data Value Forum. My name is Reinhard Karger. I'm the company spokesperson for DFKI, the German Research Center for Artificial Intelligence, and I will be the moderator for this opening event. EBDVF 2020 was planned as a conference bringing real people together in real locations in real Berlin. That was plan A. Due to the corona pandemic, we first had to move to plan B, a studio-like production setting in the Forum Digital Technologies in Berlin, with on-site guests and a small number of participants. Just 2 weeks ago, we had to accept that even this scenario was over-optimistic, given the rise of the infection numbers. So therefore, we initiated Plan C, a virtual conference with a broadcasting center at DFKI in Berlin. So EBDVF 2020 will be a virtual conference, but it still comes from Berlin, one of the most vibrant places in all things AI and big data in Europe. To make this happen, we needed partners, friends, and family, and we are therefore very grateful to our sponsors, who I would like to introduce with a short video. Thanks again, and thanks a lot to our sponsor for their support. We will have an intense morning, a lively opening with welcome notes of high-ranking officials, an inspiring technical keynote, a panel discussion with top AI experts from research and business, and finally, the iSpaces ceremony. But to set the scene and to start the opening session, we are looking forward to our first speaker, amongst others, the president of the Big Data Value Association and one of the general chairs of EBDVF 2020. Thomas Hahn, welcome, Thomas.
Good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure for me to open the European Big Data Value Forum 2020. It's a pity that we cannot open this and meet us face-to-face in Berlin, like we have done this, for example, in our last edition, 2017 in Versailles, 2018 in Vienna, and last year in Helsinki. But I will open the conference out of my hometown, it's Fürth, and maybe you are asking why I'm opening here this conference in this environment. I'm here in the Ludwig Erhard Center, Museum, and Ludwig Erhard is one of the persons from the last century who defined and established the social market economy and discussed during this time what is the impact, what are the technology, what is the societal impact, what have to be looked at when you're speaking about technology. But nevertheless, I have an expert with me, Mrs. Kurz, who is heading the center, which can give you much more precise information about this. And later I will take over again and reflecting what does this mean for our conference, which is going about data, AI, European economy, impact, technology, social aspects, and other topics. Many thanks.
Oh, it matches very well. Ludwig Erhard has always been excited on new thinking and new technology, and he would be enthusiastic seeing the possibilities of big data and artificial intelligence. And the ideas of Ludwig Erhard are today even more important than ever before. So we will have a research institute here in Fürth, in the birthplace of Ludwig Erhard, together with the famous IFO Institute, and we will have an international Ludwig Erhard campus for science and economy. And to speak with Ludwig Erhard, economic success should never be an end in itself. The human being has to be in the center of our activities, and digital competence has therefore to be value-based.
Now it's a pleasure for me here back at home to say good morning to everybody live, so to say. But as you can see in the background, also virtual connected or linked, as Reinhard said, with Berlin. And please use also the chat functionality. I have also my laptop here close to me. So we will answer also the chat, the comments, chat between you. Use this possibility which we have today regarding the digitalization. Towards a strong European data and AI ecosystem is the title of this forum. And as can you imagine, when we now are in the 21st century and thinking about the short video which we have shown up front, what are the topics which we have to discuss today? It's about data, AI, new technologies, new business model, platform ecosystem, business impact, and, but also the societal impact and acceptance from our technology, from our possibilities, from our business opportunities. We will discuss this, and now I'm coming to the event, in around 60 sessions. So we have a lot of people participating. So we have roughly 300 speakers. We have around 2,000 participants over the next 3 days. You know, this event is starting today and will proceed until Thursday, clustered in, let's say, 4 main tracks and 5 vertical tracks. Let's discuss a little bit what we want to address. In the main tracks, we are discussing about European data spaces, what is behind, what we should do, what we have to do. Then technology, platform, and trust. So we're speaking also about, remember my intro words, about what is the technology, what are the platform, ecosystem possibilities, and what is the trust market uptake, because we have to scale up with the technology and, let's say, new challenges ahead, data, AI, and new society. Only to mention the 4 main tracks or horizontal tracks. And then we are digging in also in vertical specific topics. For example, in health, manufacturing, data-driven AI solution, autonomous system, and smart society. And as you can imagine, this event, like Reinhard described in the beginning, cannot be done by us alone. So we have, as you have seen, several partners and supporters of this event. And I want only to highlight one out of this is Berlin Partners. Pity that we cannot be in Berlin, but only to name one partner who's really supporting us. And of course, thanks also to the European Commission and German government. You'll see later also some kind of keynote speeches combined with intros, also to give his colleagues from the Commission and the government giving their thoughts to us what to do. And we cannot do this without partners. So we have the co-chair, Chuck Thoms from DFKI, the German Research Center for Artificial Intelligence. And of course, the Complete Center is supporting this topic. We have the Berlin Partners as partner. And we have, let's say, 2 major initiatives in Germany, Plattform Industrie 4.0 and Platform Learning Systems, who are supporting this event. And now it's for me, again, a pleasure to give back to Reinhard to make the next things.
Thanks a lot, Thomas. And for my part, I'm definitely going to visit the Ludwig Erhard Center in Fürth to get more insights into the life of the man with a cigar, who famously said, quote, "It is and remains the ultimate purpose of any economy to liberate people from material hardship and poverty." And this is true, and this is true for AI, data, and robotics. So thank you, Thomas, again. And here comes the next video. All right, nice pictures from Berlin. We will now have Frank Melzer from Festo with his short pre-recorded opening statement. Frank Melzer is the head of the steering committee Plattform Industrie 4.0.
A very warm welcome to the forum of the European Big Data Value Association. This conference takes place during the German EU presidency and is collaboratively organized from BDVA, Plattform Lernende Systeme in Plattform Industrie 4.0. The Plattform Industrie 4.0 is the German network for digitizing industry with more than 300 active partners from industry, politics, science, associations, and unions. This public-private partnership drives Industry 4.0 ideas across the German industry and the European industry, hopefully as well, in a way not a single organization could do. As head of the steering committee of the German Plattform Industrie 4.0, it's a very personal matter for me to underline the need for strong and trustful cooperation throughout Europe. We have formulated a Vision 2030, shaping the global industrial digital ecosystem. This vision is based on three core values: sovereignty, interoperability, sustainability. And these core values are true European core values. Sovereignty, this is more a requirement. Sovereignty is the guarantee for self-determination and free scope for action in digital business models. An important base is a secure and trustworthy digital infrastructure, which we need for Europe. With the Gaia-X project, the Plattform Industrie 4.0 initiated the prerequisite for this trustworthy digital sovereignty. Interoperability is the enabler. Interoperability is the ability to cooperate in decentralized intelligent system. And this is especially important for our European industry structure with small and medium-sized companies. Sustainability is the result. That means for us decent work in education with a high level of employment and continuous qualification. But also in the light of the European Green Deal, the platform offers concrete Industry 4.0 applications for more ecological sustainability. Our Vision 2030 advocates the design of open digital ecosystems, emphasizing diversity and plurality. The vision supports fair competition between all stakeholders in the market. And in these challenging times, we need new ideas, new business opportunities, and a strong collaboration in Europe. So I wish you much success for this conference, in all discussions, and in the exchange of new ideas. And most importantly, stay healthy.
You're looking forward to 2030, as you said, and we will work together in bringing the outlined Vision 2030 into reality. Now, next up, we would like to have Karl-Heinz Streibich, chair of the Plattform Lernende Systeme and president of acatech, the German National Academy of Science and Engineering.
Hello and welcome to all of you. Great that you are participating in our European Big Data Value Forum 2020 here in this digital form. The next 10 years will be marked by Europe catching up for global digital age leadership. The current corona crisis is accelerating digitization and with the use of artificial intelligence. In the pandemic, the benefits of digitization and AI systems became clearly evident. Maintaining economic and social processes despite social distancing, for instance. Or by intelligent algorithms that compare many millions of molecules and thus accelerate the development of the vaccines. Algorithms can also track infection chains and thus support the effectiveness of intervention measures. AI-based learning systems can help us to prepare ourselves against future crises by using data for AI-based solutions to make our economy and society more resilient. With AI support, for example, machines can be remotely monitored and reactions automated, production losses can be minimized, or complex logistic chains can be further optimized. However, the coronavirus also shows what the prerequisites are for successful digitization. Where adequate learning data volumes are lacking due to deficiencies in connectivity, AI cannot develop its potential. If we want to use AI support to intelligently maintain core functions and processes of society during crisis, we need three things. First, data infrastructures that are secure, networked, and performing to assure Europe's self-determination even in times of crisis. Second, data spaces that are following European rules that are independent and secure. Next year, acatech will launch a mobility data space in which common playing field rules will apply for the exchange inside the European data space. And third, public dialogue on the potential and limitations of AI and decide together how we want to use AI in Europe. The AI platform Lernende Systeme, Germany's platform for artificial intelligence, is very committed to this public dialogue to raise understanding and acceptance for the AI potential. Let me summarize. The key to trustworthy AI is digital sovereignty. We must be able to collect, analyze, and process our data in a self-determined and secure way, which means we must become independent from global data monopolists. In concrete terms, this means that we must create digital services based on our European values and legal standards. This is the way to design AI systems that are based on a broad social consensus. It is a way to make Germany and Europe fit for the digital age. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Karl-Heinz Streibich. EBDVF 2020 will surely intensify the public dialogue on the potential and limitations of AI, and it will help to raise understanding and acceptance for its potential. So thanks a lot, thanks of the speakers, and we move on. So again, first of all, thank you for these very beautiful pictures from Berlin. Welcome notes. We keep going, move forward to the welcome notes. And we are really honored that we can now bring to you the contribution of Anja Karliczek. She is the German Federal Minister of Education and Research, and she is the chair of Plattform Lernende Systeme. And Plattform Lernende Systeme is the leading platform for information about AI and big data in Germany. Anja Karliczek.
Securing Germany's and Europe's technological sovereignty, that is our aim. So that Germany and Europe stay competitive. It's about jobs, it's about prosperity, it's also about shaping artificial intelligence, AI, in line with our ethical standards. This is what you are discussing at this year's European Big Data Value Forum. I'm glad that so many partners in the Federal Research Ministry network are participating today. The German Research Center for Artificial Intelligence, Plattform Lernende Systeme, Germany's platform for artificial intelligence, and Plattform Industrie 4.0. Because to be successful, we have to think in terms of networks at national, European and international level. Germany and Europe must become drivers of innovation. That's why our AI strategy stands for. Let me touch upon 3 points. Germany's research in AI is top of its class worldwide. To ensure it remains so, we are providing support to important structures. First and foremost, to the network of competence centers for AI research. This is how we attract top-class international researchers to Germany. And we are expanding our research funding on a wide scale. This will also enhance application-oriented research. We must become even better at translating research results into practice. Our effort target small and medium-sized enterprises in particular. SMEs still have a lot of catching up to do when it comes to using artificial intelligence. We also promote networking at European level. In particular, we support cooperation between German and French AI institutes for the sake of AI made in Europe and for the sake of responsible use of AI with due regard to the public interest. But one thing is for sure. If you aim to set standards, you have to be a technology leader. You must claim sovereignty, and especially with regard to the exchange of data, which is why we are launching Gaia-X. Gaia-X will make it possible to exchange knowledge and data effectively and securely. And that's not all. Gaia-X has the potential to be more than just a secure, sovereign European data and infrastructure ecosystem. It can become a trust anchor for society, science and industry. Making sovereign decisions about one's own data, secure exchange of that data and the ability to share it, that is a cornerstone of AI made in Europe. AI, which we ourselves decide how to use. If used well, its added value for us humans will be paramount. Let us continue on this path together to establish Germany and Europe as leading locations for AI.
Thank you, Anja Karliczek. And I promise that we all will work together on building AI made in Europe. Now we will have the EU perspective and a statement by Khalil Rouhana, the Deputy Director General in DG Connect. So that's the Directorate General for Communications Networks, Content and Technology. DG Connect is responsible for the EU Commission's policy to create a digital single market. Europe is large, Europe is important. His statement is a little bit longer than the statements of the others, but I'm looking forward to it, and stay with us. It is really, his messages are really important.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and it's a real pleasure for me to be part of the opening this year of the European Big Data Value Forum. It is a great opportunity, and I would like to start by thanking the organizers for maintaining this event this year, and also our host in Germany for contributing to this event. This event this year is unique. It's unique not only because of the crisis, this horrible crisis that is affecting us all, and the fact that with that we are obliged to go for online conference and virtual presence. It is also unique because it brings together different communities, from the AI and algorithm community to, of course, the data and data analytics community, to the instantiation of AI and data into physical artifacts, the robotics community, whole spectrum of stakeholders that used to work in parallel tracks. Now it's important that they come together, and this event is made for that and gives this opportunity for this integration. This coming together is important, as we know, and both data and AI are today key priorities for the Union. This is illustrated by the fact that the two first policy initiatives that were proposed by the College of Mrs. von der Leyen, the new Commission, were on AI and data. It's not by chance. It is because of the fact that the digital transition is a key policy priorities of the Union. It's part of the two policy priorities, the two what we call twin transitions, the digital and green transitions. And making the digital transformation success for Europe is a key priority, key policy objective for the Union as a whole. It is illustrated as well by the recent council conclusions, the head of states, confirming the importance of the succeeding in the digital transformation of the Union, and also illustrated by the different announcements from the Commission, including the latest speech of Mrs. von der Leyen on the State of the Union almost a month ago, where she highlighted how important for Europe is to seize the opportunities that are coming from the digital transformation to bring its benefits to all our citizens and our businesses. And within our policy for the digital transformation, key pillar is on data and AI. These two initiatives that were launched in January, we've been working on implementing them. And what I would like to do is just brief you on where we stand. If we start with data, what we have proposed for data is a two-track initiative that you will find similar in AI. And in fact, data and AI are completely connected and you cannot dissociate one from the other. But for data itself, we had two tracks of actions, one on the legal framework and completing the legal framework on data. Today we have three big legislations on data. One is around personal data, which is the GDPR, as you know, is unique. The second is around open data, and this is about the exploitation of public sector information and its use. And the third is about free flow of data that ensures the flow of data across Europe. We're completing this, and this is what we announced in the data strategy, and we'll be proposing first legislation now in the coming weeks, with first legislation that is on data sharing. And it's about creating the right conditions for the sharing of data between the different stakeholders, including first what we call secondary use of data. So data is held by the public sector, but that can contain personal data as well, but that can be used in line with the GDPR for different types of application, notably for innovation and for addressing societal challenges in areas of public interest. This is health data. This is data held by the Social Security, for example, and that can be reused or fixed. With this act that will come now, we call the Data Governance Act. We will fix the framework or clarify the framework for this data to be used and how it can be used. We will also address data donation and data altruism, extremely important for the data sharing and for the exploitation of data for the future. And we will address also the role of intermediaries in making data shared between private sector and between businesses. This is the Data Act, Governance Act, that will come in the few weeks. It is a key framework for data sharing that will help us implement what we call common data spaces that we announced in our data strategy. And these are common data spaces that help us aggregate data across Europe, and that we'll be investing in. I'll come back to that in our investment track. But they need a legal framework that facilitates the use and the establishment of these common data spaces. That's one act. The other data legislation that will come beginning of next year or first semester next year will be around data and competition. Will be on data as an asset and how to have a fair framework for the use and the exploitation and the sharing of data. These two legislations will complement the three and will help us have a complete data framework, legal framework that will make Europe a hub for data for the future. This is our ambition, as making Europe the data hub, the place where data can be captured and can be used, can be exploited, can be shared in a trustful way and a clear and transparent way, preserving our privacy, but also preserving the interests of our public sector and the interests of our businesses. Essential. In addition to adjusting and adapting our legal framework on data, we also proposing an investment in data, because what we would like, in order to make Europe the hub for data, what we'd like is to have the industry, the technology, and the know-how in Europe to store the data, to capture and to compute the data. And we would like to have that also with a strong industry that can supply all the technologies and all the infrastructures that are needed for data. And that's why we're proposing an important investment to be done together with industry, with the member states, around a common data project for the future. That will help us address three layers the common data spaces that I mentioned, and we have proposed to put 1.2 billion to 1.5 billion euros from the Digital Europe program in developing and implementing these common data spaces. It's really about the deployment of data. It's capturing data in different sectors from health. And we knew through the crisis today how important is health data to be able to manage the pandemics, predict its development, etc. Health, but also common data spaces for environment, essential also to be able to capture and to understand better our environment and be able to react to environmental developments. Also data for agriculture, data for our mobility, for our transportation system, for our energy, and data also for our industry. So common data spaces that our industry can share and use. And we will be co-investing with the member states and industry in the setting up of these common data spaces, 1.2 billion from us. This is the layer, one of the layers that we would like to address in our data project. But what is important also is the intermediary layer, this platform that will enable the aggregation of the demand, making users be able to choose where they would like to store their data and where they would like to exploit and how they would like to share this data, and will have at the same time to federate the supply. And that intermediary layer is the layer that the Gaia X, Franco-German project, is developing. And what we would like to do is building on Gaia X to expand its use, to reinforce its use, and to make it available EU-wide. We will invest also, and really extremely important, in the basic infrastructure into our cloud and computing and data storage capacity. We would like to have an industry that is strong in Europe that can offer these capacities for the future and that seizes the opportunities that are arising today and the new architecture for the cloud and for the data infrastructure that is more at the edge, that is more energy efficient, that is more secure, and that is a combination of different types of architecture at the edge, centralized, but also at the edge where there's embedded computing capacities. This will enable us to have distributed AI that will have data as close as possible and to be accessible in real time in the most secure and the most energy efficient way. There are huge opportunities that our industry can seize, and we would like to build a strong supply industry in Europe, seizing these opportunities for the future. This is the common project that we would like to invest in with the member states and with industry. And we're very happy that the German presidency has convinced all member states to engage with us in such an investment. We can put around 2 billion euros in building these data and cloud capacities for the future from the EU side. This is what we have promised, and we can generate this from the Digital Europe program, from Horizon Europe, and from the Connecting Europe facility for the future. But this would not be sufficient if the member states do not come in, and if industry does not come in into a common project for the future. We need around 10 billion euro to be able to achieve our ambitions on these three layers. Common data spaces that are available, that are exploitable, the tools for exploiting them, a platform that helps users to choose where they would like to put their data, how they would like to share it, which type of application they would like to use, and a strong compute and data storage industry in Europe. That's what we hope to be able to do, and that we're very happy with the declaration that I mentioned before that all member states have signed to, with the support of the German presidency, to engage together in such a project, building and reinforcing our data capacities for the future. In addition to data, we're investing in AI, and we have our white paper that have been proposed on artificial intelligence. And really, we got very, very good input on it, and a wide input, more than 1,500 responses, including a large number coming from associations, which means a larger response really across all stakeholders, academia, industry, member states. Very good input that confirmed a large part of what we have proposed in the white paper on AI that came in January last year. The white paper clusters our activity into two ecosystems, similar as we do for AI. An ecosystem around the legal and ethical issues. And we know for artificial intelligence how difficult and how challenging are the ethical issues in particular. People fear artificial intelligence, they fear transparency, they fear that AI will replace human beings, and they fear about the robustness and etc. There are a lot of fears around the development of this technology, but there are also a lot of hopes, and this is what our analysis and the interaction, the dialogues that we have with citizens, with stakeholders show. They show that there are a lot of hopes, there are a lot of also expectations from the development of AI, but also a lot of fears also and concerns that we need to address. And hence the importance of having a legal framework that guarantees a trustful and citizen-centric artificial intelligence and a development that is in line with the aspirations of our citizens for transparency, for respect for fundamental rights, for robustness, for real trustful development of the technology and its applications. The high-level expert group on AI that we have set up almost 2 years ago now has given us very good input that has that we translated into the proposal that are in the white paper. And out of that, and out of the consultations and the input that we received following the white paper, we will come with a legal framework at the beginning of next year on artificial intelligence that will be proportionate, that will help drive innovation, not stifle innovation, drive innovation that will address these key fears, and that will create a stable and clear legal framework for the development of artificial intelligence that will avoid us taking unnecessary risks with the technology while helping its development and its wide use. The value added of AI will come from its use across all sectors of the economy, and we know its benefits across the board. This is what the legal framework will do, and it will come by the beginning of next year. And it will be also complemented by what we call the ecosystem of excellence that we're trying to develop around AI. This is excellence in knowledge, excellence in the skills that we have, excellence also in the way we diffuse the technology, and we tested and experimented across all sectors of the economy and in areas of public interest. And there we propose to have also a very significant investment, both in reinforcing our research excellence, so in the academic research, and in bringing together the academic community around key tracks and focused areas to really maintain and reinforce European excellence in artificial intelligence, and also investments that would be in industrial research and development to bring the knowledge in the academic community to industry and accelerate the uptake by the market through testing and experimentation facilities. We will be supporting this from the Horizon Europe, supporting this also from the Digital Europe program, Horizon Europe on research and development, Digital Europe on deployment, on building capacities, on testing and experimentation facilities. And we're working with that with the member state in a coordinated action plan that we will be updating by the end of the year as well, to make sure that we articulate better our efforts at EU level, at national level, in the public sector and the private sector. This is for building up an ecosystem of excellence in knowledge, but also in the exploitation of knowledge and its wider diffusion across Europe through digital innovation hubs and through testing and experimentation facilities in all different areas of AI. AI and data, as you can see, and the two strategies go hand in hand. You need data for AI, and AI will help us exploit data and make sure that its benefits are widespread. For both actions, what we need is work in partnerships. For AI, for data, we have the partnership now with the member states, and we will be coming by the end of the year with an alliance around data to make our project that I mentioned a reality, a big alliance on data and cloud that we will build up with industry and that we're working on now on preparing for it. That will be announced by the end of the year. And on artificial intelligence and data and robotics, we will also be working with the academic and industrial community in particular to build up a partnership for research development. And this is the gathering today is really a major step forward. And we're very happy that the big data value PPP, the robotics PPP, and the AI community are coming together now and developing a common roadmap that we hope will be very soon able to formalize it into a partnership, a roadmap for research, development, and innovation, and the deployment of the technology for the future. This partnership, we count a lot on it to help us focus our work on research development, but also, as I mentioned, on the deployment of the technology. The declaration and commitment from the member states, the coordinated action plan with the member states on AI, the declaration on data, the alliance in order to make sure that we build a stronger industry on data capacities, the partnership for the research, development, innovation, and development are key tools for us to work together in order to make Europe a leader in data and artificial intelligence. We are committed from the EU side, from the Commission side, to make that ambition a reality. And I know that this is also the commitment from all member states, and we're so happy of it. And I know that the industry, we can count on the industry and academic community on this. I thank you very much, and I hope that you will be discussing these issues in this event today and tomorrow. And I wish you a very successful discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Khalil, Rouhana. We are looking forward to these concrete actions that you announced, and we are committed to that, I can promise. Now, the ecosystem for AI, data, and robotics is important, and startups are a big part of it. These are some topics for Thomas Jarzombek's work. He is the coordinator for the German federal government of German aerospace policy and commissioner for the digital industry and startups. Thomas Jarzombek.
Dear participants on and offline, dear virtual attendees in Berlin, Europe, or wherever you find yourself during these times. I am honored to deliver this keynote to you today at the European Big Data Value Forum 2020. As Germany currently holds the presidency of the European Council, we are glad to place data policy and data economy at the center of our agenda. Big players, especially across the Atlantic, are carving up the market of big data and its value amongst them. Tesla is not the most valuable car maker because it sells the most cars or because it sells maybe the best cars, but because it uses the car as a platform for digital technologies and also builds up a network for charging and therefore a second digital platform. We are experiencing shifting value chains. As you can see on this example, a transition driven by digital technologies. To get to the point, Europe's Ford is building physical products like cars, planes and machinery. So the Germans love machines and hardware, but we have to move forward to be better when it comes to software and data. As we can see in America, or especially in Silicon Valley, is very successful in software and consumer platforms. However, many say the carrier of the value of the future will be data, and I agree to that fully. We in Europe need to better understand the transition and pave the way for business models that are adapted to digital economies. Now, here are some initiatives highlighting what the German government is doing to foster this. 2 years after the initial adoption, we have updated our national AI strategy a couple of days ago. AI is a key technology to promote innovation and maintain competitiveness. The COVID-19 pandemic has shown the potential of AI and accelerated and boosted its development and deployment. This is why the government announced to increase additional AI spending from 3 billion euros from 2019 through 2025 up to 5 billion euros. The EU has to seize the opportunity to take the leading role to inspire and compete on a global level. Now, here's the thing. According to recent studies, only 6% of businesses in Germany are using AI technologies in their processes or products, and I believe that's typical all over Europe. And another study showed that while AI is actually not really used by businesses, 3 of 4 consumers assume, wrongly, that AI is used for personalized advertisements. This shows, in the pending debate on AI regulation, we cannot afford to lose track of reality. To achieve our undisputed goal of a trustworthy AI, Europe must be relevant as an innovator, not only as a regulator. With the publication of the European Data Strategy in February 2020, the Commission made clear that AI and data policy have to go hand in hand. This year has shown how data is more and more relevant to society and the economy. This is why we fully support the Commission's plan to proceed with the first legislative proposal towards common European data spaces. We need to find common solutions to the general problem of a reluctance of businesses to share data, and also for the government to share data. Therefore, establishing trust is a key. Intermediaries, data trusts, can play a crucial role in the development of a decentralized and successful data economy. To boost innovative business models, we will intensify our open data policy. We will define high-value data sets that the public sector will open up according to the best possible standards. Gaia X is a European project built on European values. With Gaia X, we are building a safe and secure data and cloud infrastructure for Europe. Commission President Ursula von der Leyen explicitly called Gaia X in her recent State of the Union address the basis of the European digital economy, and that's true. Currently, there are already 350 companies and organizations involved, especially from the European Union, but also from Japan and the United States. On September 15, the Foundation Charter for Gaia X, AISBL, was signed. In the future, more member states shall join, and the collaboration with the Commission in the context of the EU Cloud Federation shall be intensified. The industrial world and the Internet are constantly growing together. Industry 4.0 thereby turns out to be the key to increase the resilience of our economy. Given the importance of our industry for our wealth in Europe, gaining digital sovereignty is a really urgent task. Also, the emerging industrial platforms will change the way how production will be organized. Again, data is in the center of this development, which has already started some years ago. We in Europe are dedicated to keep control of our data and to enable our industry to reap the benefits of its know-how. That's why it's necessary to scale up Gaia X successfully and fast in sectors like the automotive industry. This is the basis for new products and service-oriented business models. This will create opportunities and new impulses for economic growth. It will secure Europe's competitiveness. As you can see, there is a wide range of initiatives we are currently working on. But they all have one thing in common: to establish structures and frameworks that enable exchange and trade that add value to everybody's benefit. Our mission, and that includes you, dear attendees, dear organizers, dear viewers, it's clear, I believe, that the European Big Data Value Forum 2020 will do its part to improve and advance. A special thanks therefore to EBDVF for organizing this forum and making sure these important topics remain at the top of everybody's list. I am excited to watch the rest of the forum and wish you all a fruitful day of discussion and inspiration. Thank you for having me.
So thank you, Thomas Jarzombek, and again, thank you all for your thoughts, for your advice and your support and your good wishes. I am sure EBDF will generate relevant impact to building a strong European data and AI ecosystem. But surprise, we are experiencing some major technical problems in the background, and that means we are dynamically working on a solution. And I heard that we have to restart the Zoom conference. That we will do. It will be no problem. We will be back in a short time. And in the meantime, we show you some videos. So here comes some pictures. Thank you. Klappt's jetzt?
Nee, das hat immer noch dieselbe Meldung. Der Host
Okay, so we are back, but it's okay to have these technical problems, really. I mean, it's brilliant technology, but so it's life. Now we go on. We're looking forward to the technical keynote by Volker Markl, and Volker Markl is Chief Scientist at DFKI. He's a full professor. His chair is of the Database Systems and Information Management Group at the Technische Universität Berlin. So, welcome, Volker Markl.
Yes, thank you very much for this kind introduction, and I'm very happy to be here at the to give the keynote at the event today. And in particular, looking back, I was actually giving the I was giving the keynote. Sorry, I'm hearing some people here now. Can I talk? Hello?
Of course, go ahead.
Okay, sorry, because I'm hearing people talking in the background. Okay, so I'm actually very happy to give the keynote today, in particular looking back at having given the keynote at the very first event of the Big Data Value Association, the Big Data Value Summit in Madrid. And I think we have gone a far way since with big data, and now, of course, moving into artificial intelligence and starting a new program on big data, AI, and robotics. And if we look at the overall situation that has been mentioned before already by previous speakers, that big data management and machine learning are the two core pillars of this, on the one hand, new wave of applications in artificial intelligence that we see emerging, and on the other hand, of data science as a emerging discipline of analyzing large data sets. And that has a profound impact on the one hand on sciences and humanities, and on the other hand, of course, on industry and economy. And in Germany, we actually have been starting with a couple of competence centers that some of them already have existed, some of them have been founded during the last couple of years in order to advance the research agenda in artificial intelligence and data management. And this is centers in a variety of states like Dortmund, Bonn, and Tübingen, in Munich, and in Berlin, and as well as the DFKI. And the core mission of those centers is, of course, in addition to the existing AI research that has already been happening for a long time, to really focus largely on this new thrust of research in big data, machine learning, and its intersection. And there's a good amount of challenges out there, on the one hand in foundations and methods, on the other hand in the management of data science processes, in architectures and technologies, systems and tools, and of course in responsible AI. And I want to start to highlight one key success story that came out of, if you wish, the activities that were also accompanied by the Big Data Value PPP and others. And that is Apache Flink, which is an open source stream processing framework for distributed high performance and always available and accurate data streaming applications, which came out of a research project at TU Berlin. It offers bounded and unbounded data processing with event time semantics, stateful and fault tolerant, running on thousands of nodes, so very high scalability with exactly one semantics for stateful computations. And this work has actually created a truly global, not just European, but global community. On the one hand of companies, here you see companies that use that technology. It's become an Apache open source software system that's used by companies like Amadeus, ING, Zalando, and many others, Rovio in Finland. So lots of companies across Europe, but also, of course, companies in overseas, both in Asia, China, as well as the United States. And this system actually has a very healthy community of, on the one hand, meetup members that regularly attend meetups on the technology, but also, and that's an impressive story, I would say 750 plus open source contributors. So those are not users of the system, but actually persons who advance this big data streaming platform. And also there has been a success story with respect to innovation, a startup that has been founded up that technology. So a large amount of impact in the big data and machine learning space. And in this context, now I want to highlight there's one competence center in Berlin, that is the Bifold Competence Center, that works also closely together with DFKI, the German Research Center for Artificial Intelligence, in the context of both foundational research and applied research. And one research project that is happening in this space is building a new data streaming platform, so capitalizing on the success story of Apache Flink, building a data management system for the Internet of Things, which should allow thousands of queries to be processed on very dynamic topologies where new devices come into the system and come out of the system, supports heterogeneous workloads, utilizes those in a smart way, and manages state efficiently to analyze large sets of data in Industry 4.0 applications, but also others. So this is a novel system that is being developed that will come out of those competence centers. Another important research project that is happening in this context in DFKI and in Bifold is Agora, which is a data infrastructure for the democratization of AI. We've heard a lot about Gaia X. So some of the virtues of Gaia X are reflected here. So essentially creating an asset-centric ecosystem where everyone can offer and access all kinds of data-related assets and combine them to novel applications. So it requires a lot of bits and pieces, building blocks, in particular plug-and-play ecosystems to allow for data sharing and processing, to look at that together, and also allow for data policy-aware analytics, in this way to enable AI for all. So this is an efficient and scalable, secure data processing framework that's under development that enables federated learning on sensitive data. So dealing with various aspects is, I think, another important part of such a research agenda. Another important research aspect, again, in the area of this ecosystem is how to extend explainable AI. And explainable AI, one should say, already has reached success in many key scenarios, such as deep neural network classifiers, and there has been a plethora of new XAI algorithms with respect to neuralization with higher order explanations. So some examples of those pieces of impact are the image that you see here. So what is the anomaly in this image? So recognizing essentially this car that is here in an otherwise empty parking lot, and how to explain that this is really the anomaly in the image requires neuralization of, in this case, like one-class support vector machines. And this is one research contribution, also explaining why are two images similar, answering those types of questions. So recognizing that the plane's nose here is related to that nose, so that's why those images have some kind of similarity, which is a second-order decomposition of pairs of pixels. Also, another example would be what structures contribute to paracetamol's dipole moment. So determining those structures, and in this case, color coding them, which is, again, some forms of explainable AI techniques. And conducting research in those helps, on the one hand, of course, really answering scientific questions, but on the other hand, of course, helps with respect to acceptance of AI technologies in broad field. Another important challenge is how to deal with data. We've heard about data a lot in the context of distributed data sets that may not be allowed to be analyzed in every potential situation. So data flow constraints that might, for instance, prevent data from being sent from the US to Europe or from China to Europe. but there might be some permissible way of dealing with the data, like some aggregate data or some form of anonymized data might be sent. And because of those cross-border or cross-organizational data flow constraints, the question is, how can one, given a data analysis problem, determine where to process which part of the data and in which way, and how to do so automatically? So the challenges here that one is looking to address is how to define policy expressions that would specify data flow constraints in the form of SQL-like statements that limit the data transfer. And in this way, also conduct what would be called compliance-based query optimization that determines legal queries so that are compliant with respect to those constraints and transfers those to compliant execution plans, which again enables masking via relational operators and even can go beyond relational algebra when we have queries that would conduct more advanced training on machine learning algorithms using DAG queries or data masking via k-anonymization or differential privacy. And another line of research, another success story is an open source window aggregation system for stream processing that provides a windowing operator. So in order to conduct window processing, one has to discretize the data stream into smaller subsets, which then can be processed effectively. And this is generally applicable and outperforms alternative solutions by orders of magnitude in throughput. Those are all success stories that came out of, on the one hand, the German Research Center for Artificial Intelligence or the Bifold Research Center, or a collaboration of both in an innovation pipeline. And the interesting aspect here is that those pieces of technology, which are foundational, have led to applications like the Flink system, or also a project which is happening in conjunction with Siemens on exploratory data science over raw data, where the overall technical objectives are to conduct ad hoc and federated data integration, and in this way have end-to-end machine learning pipeline execution on raw data that does not have to be integrated into a database system already, but can be used as is. And the interesting aspect here is that in this context, the project is based on this Nebula Streams, Internet of Things data analysis platform that I already mentioned. And on top of that, leverages, and this is a European collaboration, in this case in particular with the University of Graz, that builds a system called Apache System DS, another big data or data science management platform, which offers a federated machine learning runtime. And on top of that, Siemens has built technology to demonstrate the effectiveness of that approach in the context of various Industry 4.0 applications. So, for instance, in the context of a paper mill and paper production. So all of those show, on the one hand, the role that big data and big data management plays in the context of this new wave of artificial intelligence applications. All of those project examples also show that there is a real need in Europe to move forward with big data, machine learning, and also, of course, robotics as another key ingredient. And in this way, I am looking forward to the remainder of the conference that will highlight, on the one hand, of course, the requirements and needs, but also further solutions and opportunities in that space to strengthen Europe with data infrastructures, with machine learning and other artificial intelligence methods and applications, and to improve overall European research, innovation, and competitiveness as a whole. Thank you very much.
Too bad, too bad. I forgot to activate my microphone. So, Volker Markl, thanks a lot for your keynote. We will continue, and we experienced some minor technical problems. but as far as I can understand, we are able to continue with our panel, a European perspective on data and AI towards a European data and AI strategy. If this is the case, I'm happy to start. We said we wanted to start with an initial video by Pia Sandvik, CEO of RISE. RISE is the Research Institutes of Sweden. And can we have the video now? Would be great.
This is Pia Sandvik, CEO at RISE, Research Institutes of Sweden. Thank you for inviting me to join the 2020 European Big Data Value Forum. And thanks for the hosts and organizers in Berlin, and a special thanks to our partners, the DFKI. We really need to work together to strengthen Europe in platforms and AI technology through a strong research ecosystem. And overall, we need to increase investments in education and applied research. Machine learning and AI, together with data, will drive the next generation of applications in industry and public sector, and will provide a shortcut to solve the challenges that we are facing, like the United Nations 17 SDGs. It's a paradigm shift in business models and how we develop and use products, processes, and services. Test and demonstration facilities, often called technology infrastructures, are important to speed up market introduction. And the expertise and services provided by RTOs like RISE and our technology infrastructures can help Europe to meet the objective communicated by the European Commission on AI. The announced European Alliance in Industrial Data and Cloud is an important investment for the future that we in Sweden really support. In our joint work, we also need to stand up for European values with respect for each individual and his and hers integrity and safety. RISE is here for that reason, to make the world better. Looking forward to the coming days to take important steps towards a strong European data and AI ecosystem.
All right, so we are back. Thomas, you there? Unmute your mic and then we can start. There are three general objectives and accompanying guiding questions for the AI data and robotics partnerships that we will address. Can you give us just a short intro in the questions that we are looking for now?
Yeah, perfect. Hopefully you can hear me. And
of course.
That's great. You know, we have clustered, let's say, the panel, let's say, in 3 sections or 3 to 4 sections where we are, what are the opportunities, what are the threats. And we will, let's say, motivate this panel with also some kind of short videos where we get some impressions from, for example, from Matteo, supercomputing center in Barcelona, or from Arnold AI from University of Amsterdam, and others. And of course, we get also some kind of impression from industry perspective from Henk van Houten, CTO for Philips. But nevertheless, to keep the time, Reinhard, maybe you start, and a warm welcome to the complete panel, and many thanks for participating.
Okay, Thomas, thank you very much. So the idea was we have great speakers. We have Hanna Hennig from Siemens, we have Henning Kagermann from acatech, Volker Watzer from DFKI, Ina Schieferdecker from BMBF, the German Federal Ministry for Education and Research, and we have Rasmus Rothe. He's the founder of Merantix in Berlin. And we would like to start with Hanna Hennig, Chief Information Officer, Siemens, and here it's about the business perspective. So, Hanna Hennig, where is Europe strong, and how can Europe reinforce a strong and global competitive position?
Yes, thanks a lot, Reinhard, to have me here today. very pleased to allow me also to share some industry perspectives. So in terms of, where do I see that European companies offer many advantages? I think there are plenty of them, even though very often we are too shy to open them up. For me, it's on the one hand, it's the quality standards I believe we apply in Europe. I believe our products are very often are safer and more reliable than from other countries. Our research landscape is very strong. As you know, unfortunately, numerous specialists have been approached by US or even Asian companies to join them and universities to join them. Our engineering knowledge in OT, operational technology, and basically in particular industrial technology is very, very strong. We are very good in established industry like healthcare, industrial automation. And I believe also our European diversity is contributing to our solutions, offering much more features than maybe any other country would ever be able to provide, because we know the requirements from all diverse cultures as well as citizens from Europe. Where we can reinforce competitiveness, I believe, is indeed to continue to build ecosystem of partners where we leverage best practices from each other and do not fight each other. I believe we also need to continue strengthening our academic landscape, for example, with new faculties. For example, in Munich recently, there was opened the new faculty for robotics, which is combining studies of AI with engineering, computer science, physics, etc. We also need to definitely continue and also invest much more in software engineering. This is a profession which is not very much known in Europe, rather it is known in US. And we need to continue to join our forces in European projects where new technologies are tested and deployed with less bureaucratic hurdles and enough financial incentives. And I believe these conferences like today are there to discuss all these initiatives and also let us start as soon as possible. Back to you, Reinhard.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm looking here as my... Okay, now I'm a little red, but that's okay too. Now we go on with Henning Kagermann. Henning Kagermann is a professor. He's the former CEO of SAP, and he was the president of acatech. Now, Henning, you were in the driving seat establishing the leading platforms for Industry 4.0, learning systems and others. And you were one of the authors of the first paper that was really published on 1st of April, 2011. What are your lessons learned and what is your recipe for AI and data?
Yeah, Reinhard, first of all, let's talk about our pandemic we are in. I think we are all looking for lessons we can learn, and with all people you're talking to, they conclude that we have to accelerate digital transformation, at least that's for sure. And I'm mentioning this because that was exactly the same conclusion we came to 10 years ago. I think we should remember we had a strong financial and economic crisis, and the question was, how can we prepare ourselves better for the future to recover and to come to a better reality? And at that time, we focused immediately on business to business for two reasons. One is what Hannah said already, it's the area where Europe still has a chance to be competitive. I also believe it's necessary to focus on B2C, but that's another story. And the second point was that everybody worldwide agreed that those countries will recover better that have a strong manufacturing background. So that was the reason why we came up with Industry 4.0 and later on with smart services, because we look to the, let's say, business model of the digital age and autonomous systems. So to some extent, we took a different approach than you are doing it with this initiative. We did a bottom-up approach, so we bundled our forces first here in Germany because we wanted, let's say, to reach out internationally with one voice and with one focal point of collaboration. The second step was to institutionalize the effort, which we achieved with these two platforms you have mentioned, Plattform Industrie 4.0 and Plattform Lernende Systeme. And finally, I think from there we scaled and start building these international relationships. So what are the lessons, you asked me? I think the obvious one is you need a crisp clear and a compelling mission statement. And Industry 4.0 is an example which is nearly unbeatable. We cannot just name it Industry 5.0, so that we can't do. So therefore, it's so important to have a very crisp mission statement. The next one is attention. I think we were lucky from a national point of view that we were able, all three projects, to, let's say, hand the findings to our chancellor at the Hanover Fair. Hanover is important because it catches the attention of the international audience. So that was, I think, the second important point. Another one is scale, as you know. That might be the toughest piece. You have to make it a lasting effort. That's why you need these institutions that hopefully live there for at least 10 years and survive, I think, also changes in the government. And scale is both nationwide, so you have to focus on the small and medium-sized enterprises, which isn't that easy. The latest survey told us that now only 3% of the German companies believe Industry 4.0 is nothing for them. So, but that is now 7 years which we have worked on. And the most important one is to get this international acceptance. And here we were very lucky because we reached out of Europe also, let's say, to get the attention of the US, of China and Japan, which are at least the leading countries, I think, if it comes to manufacturing, also to Korea. The final one for me is you have to avoid fragmentation. We achieved that in staying with the focus on manufacturing, fleshing things out, and in parallel building a team that was working on the smart services, which later on, let's say, we brought back into the one key platform, not to fragment things. And finally, I have read a survey recently where people were asked where they are in terms of maturity in Industry 4.0. 80% said they have reached the stage 3 now, so they are finished with connectivity and entering the level of visibility. So you see now how important data is. And 5% said that they have, let's say, finished visibility and are entering the most important piece, which is adaptability and predictability, where AI kicks in and advanced robotics. So to some extent, I would say you have a perfect timing because you have enough people. These are the 5% as front runners, which can help you, let's say, to build the toolbox you need in order to help later on supporting the 80%, which hopefully in 1 or 2 years are there in order to take these, what you have built. Thank you.
So Henning Kagermann, thanks a lot, and thank a lot for your work for acatech, for SAP, and you're really active and you're going on. Thank you very much for that. Now we come to Wolfgang Walster. Wolfgang Walster was founding director and CEO of the German Research Center for Artificial Intelligence, and he is one of the fathers of Industry 4.0 too. Now, if we look at that, we have in Europe, we have an impressive research for AI. I mean, that is clear. Now, for you, what is the current position in the fields of AI, data, and robotics? We need your microphone.
Thank you very much, Reinhard. I think the question is well posed because Europe is actually the birthplace of many of the fundamental scientific ideas in AI, big data management, and robotics. So pioneering work in, for instance, automated deduction, image sequence analysis, knowledge representation, natural language understanding, user modeling, multi-agent systems, logic programming, and machine learning was done in Europe, not in China. In China, almost nothing of the fundamentals were developed. They're also not in the US or Canada. This is really a misconception. Europe is still leading, especially in industrial AI, as Henning pointed out. That means the application of AI for Industry 4.0. For instance, in automated production planning, digital twins, worker assistance systems, and collaborative robotics, where Europe is really leading. In addition, we have a strong movement in AI for B2B applications, again, where we have a lot of success stories like supply chain management with AI systems, logistics, or reinsurance intelligence. China and US, of course, are clearly leading in AI for the military, but also B2C applications for the consumer mass market, like AI apps, bots for online shopping and advertisement, and social networks. The German Research Center for AI is the largest one for sure in Europe, and Industrie is the largest research center for digital science, algorithms and software, with AI as a key element in France. In January, actually, it was 21st of January, the first anniversary of the Aachen Treaty of Cooperation, the French National Institute for Information Technology, INRIA, and DFKI signed a memorandum of understanding concentrating on human-centric AI. The first 6 joint projects have already been started for a new generation of hybrid AI systems, combining numerical and symbolic methods. For instance, trust through explainability and certification of AI systems, especially for Industry 4.0, surpassing the language barriers in Europe and the world by natural language technology, and also breakthroughs with AI in health and personalized medicine. And finally, a very big topic is green AI for sustainability and better hardware and software infrastructure for AI, also to become more sovereign in these fields. In addition to bilateral projects in which the German research partners are funded by the Federal Ministry of Education and Research, Professor Schieferdecker is here, she is a department head. We have regional cooperations between French, Grand Est, and Saarland, together with Rhineland-Palatine in Germany, which involve French and German SMEs. And there is a new call for bilateral project proposals with a deadline on the 21st of December, which includes topics such as distributed learning, AI for the edge cloud, AI for the clean deal, and again, explainable and trustworthy AI. This is by BMBF, and there will be 2 types of projects, one purely academic and the second type B with industry academia consortia. So finally, with the French-German cooperation in AI and also the practical development and transfer with the economic ecosystem between France and Germany, I think we can increase the output in startups for the European market. We can help the energy transition, the mobility transition, and the 4th industrial revolution. All this can be achieved only by combining the competence of French and German researchers, and both INRIA and DFKI are strong supporters of CLAIRE. The CLAIRE network already has close to 4,000 AI researchers and supports the idea of open AI, AI for all, and all of AI. Thank you.
So thank you, Professor Walster. That is, it's good that we have CLAIRE now in this discussion. It's a very important initiative. Now we come to Ina Schieferdecker. She's sort of the head for technology, sovereignty, and innovation. And she's working for the Federal Ministry of Education and Research, BMBF, Federal Ministry of Education and Research. Now, Ms. Schieferdecker, Germany is intensifying activities, and it was said we will announce as Germany 66% more until 2025 So raising from 3 billion to 5 billion euro. Where will Germany be in 2025? And what are the most urgent activities? How can Europe secure its sovereignty over technologies and know-how?
Thank you, Reinhard, and thank you, Thomas, for having me here. Of course, it's not easy to answer that question. However, I can say, and it has been said before, that Germany is in a strong position research-wise on AI, and it's the goal of the federal government's AI strategy to make Germany and Europe not only in research leading center for AI, but also in industry and society. So we really want to help safeguarding Germany's prosperity and competitiveness in the future, because being said, one can consider AI the next big wave after data-driven innovations. And so we will extend our research activities to strengthening, for example, further the network of AI centers that we have established in Germany. And we work hard to also help industry further take up AI solutions. We work on enhancing the AI-specific support for small and medium-sized companies. And we really see that in the context of the technological sovereignty. So, and is the question how we can make use of the full potential of all the technologies that go together, AI, data, robotics has been said, speech, engineering. So where's the good value creation and the solutions for the societal challenges that we are faced with? So it's a matter of being in the position to design the technologies, to put the requirements on the technological, socio-technical innovations, and to have a say in the development of relevant global standards. And for that, we consider technological sovereignty and international and national cooperation to be indeed two sides of the same coin. And we want to contribute to making, for example, made in Germany, a new label such as in Europe, or likewise operated in Europe along the European values that we all share. So, and for that, we really need a holistic approach. And to come back to the focus of this discussion, AI and data, we heavily work on developing instruments to bring AI research and development to be integrated with the Gaia to becoming upcoming Gaia X services, because AI and data does or belong together. AI will not work without the data support, without substantial adequate data, training data, validation data, so that we, in this context, see how to, of course, accompany the Gaia X developments with the research instruments, but also to take Gaia X as a new instrument for the transfer of knowledge and technology. So we see it to be a chance to further enhance infrastructure development along research-driven, innovation-based initiatives. Thank you very much.
So thank you, Ina Schieferdecker. Now we had big industry, we had big research, we had big politics. Now we come to big actions for startups. And that, of course, for this, we have Rasmus Rothe. He's the founder of Merantix AG. Now it said both academics and innovators, SMEs and startups in particular, need good access to world-class innovation infrastructure including access to data and resources, such as high performance computing and test environments, and so on. Now, being CEO of an AI startup in Berlin, so what's your view? Is there a lack of accessible and excellent infrastructure? And in case we have a slow market, how can we speed it up? What is your expectation from public and established private side? Rasmus.
Reinhard, yeah, thanks for the question and thanks for the invitation. So I think the infrastructure answers. So if you talk about cloud computing, I think there are two perspectives. Now, from my startup perspective, we use AWS, we use GCP, we use Azure. We can use them as much as some startup in San Francisco. So I would say there is no disadvantage, and I also have no choice because the technologies I need, I can only get on those platforms. Now, so I would say there we have not a global disadvantage. Now, if you look at this more from a kind of more global or political perspective, obviously we have a huge problem in Europe right now from a sovereignty perspective, and so that's something that is being addressed with Gaia X, and I think it's the right effort to make sure that we are not so dependent on those big American cloud providers. But again, from a startup perspective, I think it's totally fine, and we're in a good position now. If we talk about the regulatory environment and test beds, I would say, like, from a startup perspective, it's not necessarily about like having more or less regulation. I think it's about having clarity on regulation. So what we see a lot with also some of our companies we've been incubating in the healthcare sector, in the automotive sector, is that there's a lot of regulatory frameworks already out there, which were basically created pre-AI or pre-data. And so then it's in the end, we as a startup need to try to interpret those regulations to see how they now basically apply to when you have AI and data. And I think there's often still a lot of unclarity in like what regulation actually means. And that creates a lot of uncertainty on our side because we are unsure, can we actually do this or can we not do it? We end up paying a lot of lawyers to get clarity on this. We have to answer towards our investors also for subsequent fundraising rounds, whether what we're doing is regulatory compliant. So I think anything that is helping to reduce uncertainty there on the regulatory side would be of great value. And obviously test beds and pragmatic environments where you can quickly on a small scale test new technologies are great and are something we should further push on the European landscape. I think if you think generally around kind of what's slowing us down as a startup, I think we have great research here in Europe. Some of the previous speakers already mentioned that we have access to capital. My belief is that capital always comes where good ideas are. Obviously, we have a problem with ownership. For example, like when we also raised like a 25 million euro fund, our anchor investors are all in the US, just because it was much easier to raise capital there. So I think that's a problem, that even if you build stuff here in Europe, then ownership still moves out of Europe because that's just where the capital comes from. But generally, I would say capital is there. I think when I look at specific companies we've been building and compare them to their US competitors, great technology, less funding, but like if you normalize for salaries, it's probably still maybe comparable, maybe still a bit less, but it's fine. But I think what's the biggest challenge is on the traction side. So what we see a lot in the US is that corporates, but also SMEs are much more open and much more used also to work with startups and also take risks to work with early startups, which maybe in the beginning just have a couple of people in the team, and there's still a lot of risk with working with a startup. But something if those corporates and SMEs would take more risk there, I think that would be a big driver for the European startup ecosystem, because in the end the investor looks at the team, technology, the product, but then also looks at traction. And if there's a US competitor which has twice as much traction, then they get funded in follow-up rounds, and then you have these kind of winner-take-all dynamics like in many markets. So I think that's something we need to see what we can do also from a public sector perspective, but also obviously also from a private sector. Then now talking about startups in general, I think startups are, as we see in the US and China, the big driver for transferring research into products that can be used in a scalable way. So I think generally we need to double down more in this, and this is I think something that starts very early in the journey. So you could talk already about middle school, high school. You could talk about how we can change curriculum at universities, how we could also take PhD students from working on great research all over the country, all over Europe, and put them more into the startup ecosystem, connect them closer to each other, so they make less mistakes, they learn how to do it, they maybe get also co-founders that have complementary skills. So anything I think we can do along this journey will be great. And like I myself studied also in the UK and US, and I think that's where I learned most of those skills, because the courses are just structured in a much more entrepreneurial way. Now to create better transfer, the hard part about transfer is also you need all stakeholders. Like you can do research in a siloed fashion. Corporates can do their own thing. Now, when we want to transfer things, we need a lot of things. We need the research, we need the corporates, we need investors, we need the regulators, we need people building companies. And so I think creating more kind of hubs and ecosystems that are focused on transfer, and that can be physical ecosystems where you use the same coffee machine, where you really sit next door, I think can have a great impact on the transfer in Europe. And so that's actually also the reason why we with Merantix are launching an AI campus in Berlin in actually 4 months, where we will bring together 400 plus researchers, people from SMEs, from large corporates, to really make sure that we have all the stakeholders in one place to work together on transfer and make it happen, and also ultimately showcase this to like a wider audience also beyond Europe. So I think establishing something like that, not just in Berlin, but across Europe would be great. And I think something would everybody also here on the call would benefit from in the long term. So yeah, overall, I think we have a lot of good ingredients here in Europe. We now just need to put them to work basically, and make sure that also our existing industry is profiting from it as much as possible. Thank you very much.
All right, Rasmus, sounds great. I guess I'm sure Berlin will make it happen. We were looking forward to the campus. I guess everybody will be there. Again, we can travel. Now we come to another video. The video comes from Henk van Houten. He's the Executive Vice President, Chief Technology Officer of Philips. So Henk.
Ladies and gentlemen, Europe is a diverse region, rightfully proud of its rich cultural heritage, its sense of social and environmental responsibility, its highly educated talent pool, and excellent base in academic science and technology. Europe also has unique strengths in high-tech systems development and industrialization, as well as in the application of digital technologies to professional services industries. Examples are our positions in finance, logistics, and advanced manufacturing, such as automotive. At the same time, we are running behind in digital platform-based businesses and in the global race for wide-scale application of artificial intelligence and big data. The challenge for Europe is to build on its strengths while dramatically accelerating its digital play. Let me zoom in on healthcare. One of the most important high-tech enabled professional services industries in the world. Healthcare cost represents an increasingly unaffordable percentage of GDP, and it's facing huge additional challenges related to the aging population, lifestyle-related diseases, pandemics, and a shortage of qualified staff. That is why healthcare needs to transform, linking hospitals to primary care and the home, addressing the so-called quadruple aim, which is about reducing cost, improving outcomes, and enhancing the staff and patient experience. From a technology perspective, big data and artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, and the adoption of interoperable digital platforms are the key enablers for this transformation. The COVID-19 outbreak has forced health systems and innovators to pivot and accelerate the adoption of cloud-based telehealth services, outpatient monitoring, and the application of AI in diagnosis and workflow improvements. Especially in China, we have seen very impressive progress in these areas. At the same time, we see American tech platform companies entering healthcare in a very ambitious way. There is therefore a high urgency for Europe to step up in the large-scale digitalization of healthcare delivery as well. Europe can be proud of its well-developed healthcare system, accessible for all. In many respects, we are an example to the rest of the world. Also, we have very strong incumbent industrial positions in medical technologies. However, we risk losing this advantage. We are running behind in the adoption of digital technologies, while the European market and approaches are highly fragmented. To remain a global healthcare leader with technical sovereignty, Europe must dramatically step up in applying cloud-based digital platforms, AI and big data technologies. Europe must fix its significant disadvantages when it comes to access to data for research and development, as well as for the deployment of innovative solutions and business models at scale. We therefore strongly endorse the intention to create a large public-private partnership of AI, data and robotics with sizable investment from EU programs and with close collaboration between industry, academia and healthcare stakeholders across Europe. We also welcome the intention of the European Commission to create common European data spaces. This is essential for advances in prevention, detection and cure of diseases, preparedness and management of public health crises, and effective and sustainable healthcare systems. We also must free up data from the public sector, creating a federated infrastructure for data sharing. And initiatives such as Gaia-X could be instrumental in assisting this process. In conclusion, the way forward for Europe is to leverage our strengths in innovative health tech equipment and clinical excellence, transforming this into a digitally enabled professional services industry. This will be crucial to safeguard access to quality care for our citizens, while also making excellent sense from an economic and global competitiveness perspective. Thank you for your attention.
So, thank you, Henk van Houten. Now, we heard a lot, Thomas, we heard a lot about this AI data and robotics partnership. Yes, it will build on European strengths to develop a global AI data and robotics position. That is true. Can you please give us some more illustration about what this means for industry, politics, academia, and citizens? I mean, that's a bit too much, but just give us some flair what this will mean.
Thanks, Reinhard, for this introduction. Yes, you're right. Wolfgang Walster mentioned before CLAIRE as one of the research communities, big research communities. And we at the moment bringing together CLAIRE, ALICE, Euro AI, but also Euro Robotics as an association. You remember the words from Khalil about this, and the Big Data Value Association. So meaning we are creating some kind of joint effort to push together forward in a holistic view. I think Ina mentioned this, also Ina Schieberdecker mentioned this before, pushing this forward to establish something where we can really, in the AI, industrial AI, for the different verticals, can make something together with academia. I mentioned the initiatives with, let's say, industry, where we are inside, for example, as companies, and Henk van Houten mentioned this also, Philips inside, wanted to mention other companies and a lot of others. And of course, what is going on with the startups communities and SMEs to scaling up. So we set up an topic, and we're expecting next years, and you remember again, Khalil mentions this, some kind of first call. So we are establishing this organization, and more important, also the ecosystems that we are cooperating. That's in a nutshell what we have done. We have published a research agenda, how to deploy the technology, set up the community, bringing the community together. And now we're pushing this as a joint partnership ecosystem, and think about the words from Hannah about ecosystem, really collaborative forward. Thanks a lot. Reinhard.
Well, thank you, Thomas. And now we are back, and we are moving to another pre-recorded statement by Arnold Smolders. He's coming from the University of Amsterdam.
I'm glad that I'm given the opportunity to talk to you, as you have the most important ingredient of modern science, and that is data. Data flows into machine learning, which is the most important field in science today. Let me demonstrate it to you. It simple means I've made a list of the 100 most important science sources of this year. On top, you would expect to find Nature, and that is the case. The New England Journal, Science, Lancet, and then already at position number 5, the first machine learning conference. And it repeats at position 17, 28, 33, 59, 78. And at the bottom here, we have the classical conference of AI. Below this list, there are literally 10,000 other conferences and journals in the world of science. So in science, there is an unparalleled revolution going on, never seen before. Among all disciplines of science, machine learning is on the rise and very, very important already today. You could say, well, that shows the relevance of machine learning to science, but let me tell you another story. If you're not in science, if you are in business, my students, and not only my students, but of many labs throughout Europe, are being offered a salary of $10,000 a month, even before they graduate from their PhD. And this tells me that Europe has to act fast and more intensively on machine learning, if not at the companies, then also at the point of policy making. Thank you.
All right. Policy making. I mean, policy making is really a question for Ina Schieferdecker. And now we're always hearing a lot about Alice and Claire. Big networks, very important initiatives in the European AI space. Now, Ms. Schieferdecker, what's your view? How can they play a major role to speed up AI development in the European Union?
Thank you for that question. I mean, we have heard it before. It's all about people and to build strong research structures, help developing melting pots around research. As was mentioned, innovation hubs, which are also strongly supported and driven via research. So it's really the question how we find good research infrastructures that attract people from all over the world, that give people the chance to develop their own vision in research on AI, and how to better support then the transfer and the application of the research results in the near environment, and then to scale it up beyond. So having networks like Alice and Claire really are the sources of such research structures, which help cooperating between the people all in Europe and in the world, to repeat myself.
Thank you. Thank you for that. But coming back to Henning Kagermann. And again, this partnership on AI, data, and robotics. I mean, we will have it. It will be important. But you are in a position to give them real advice. I mean, not just small talk, but real advice. Now, if you were the CEO of this, so what would you do? Henning Kagermann, come on.
Yeah, I'm not, but I'm trying, Reinhard. First of all, let's face the fact we have a knowing-doing gap. In Germany, and I think also in Europe, we have heard this several times, and you said it at the beginning, we have to turn, I think, our knowledge, our science, our research into concrete actions. That means into products and services that are competitive in the market. We know this, and we know that we are not that successful in this transfer point. So my point is that what you have done, a kind of a networking strategy, was a very good first step. You have not started from scratch again. You have looked what's there. You have, let's say, bundled the forces, and more or less you are leveraging the achievements that are made so far. I think that is the only way in Europe, because we are a network in Europe, and therefore I think that's the best way to do it. The next one is a little bit more difficult for my personal experience, I think you have to adopt a dual strategy. It's all about excellence, right? And if it's about excellence, you might be competitive, you might be agile enough, but you have to be selective. That's the issue. And on the other side, in Europe, it's all about participation. It's about inclusion. We have a lot of member states. You have, I think, a kind of a parallel track where you, let's say, roll out the achievements and the recommendations and the findings you have made, let's say, to the entire membership of the EU. But I believe that has to be done in a kind of a dual strategy with two tracks. Another one is you have to get the acceptance of the member states. And here it's about culture. We talk about European values. That's nice, but we are many, many, many countries. And I can tell you from my experience with Japan, which might be also not too far away in culture, it's at least, let's say, a westernized culture, we come to different conclusions if we come to human-machine interface or to, let's say, how we will, let's say, combine or how we can, let's say, change the society and what expectations are there. So that we have to understand. And finally, yes, focus. Wolfgang said this, you have to look to industrial AI, but to the full stack. And full stack means from a data, everybody spoke about Gaia X. Yes, you have to leverage that, but you have to make data sharing easier. That's not so easy. In artificial intelligence, I think we have a chance because the quality and the fusion of data is critical. Here we can leverage our domain expertise. Here, I think, as Wolfgang mentioned, we can be competitive in the level of algorithm, and we can leverage our strengths in sensor technology and perception. And last but not least, if it comes to robotics, I guess it's not only the future mobile and collaborative robotics, but also affordable, cheap ones, easy to use ones. That means every robot is a small platform in itself where you can build ecosystems around the robots for hardware and software extensions. And on the other side, you have to manage fleets of robots, which means you have to make sure that we have also these type of ecosystems that was mentioned, cloud computing, edge computing, so that, let's say, everything we are developing in software is deployable, the same solution deployable on the machine, on the robot, on the edge, and at the cloud. And even here, I think we should, like Gaia X is doing it, look to the full stack that was mentioned by Rasmus, not only platform as a service, but also infrastructure as a service. Thank you, Ryan.
So thank you, Henning. That was important. Now, coming back to industry and to Hannah Hennig, and now, yeah, we need you, we need industry. Now the question is, what are your needs? What do you need?
Yeah, thanks a lot for the question, Reinhard. I think overall there are several topics which I believe have been partially addressed by the European Commission as well as the states of Europe, which is on the one hand has been mentioned by Henning and also by Rasmus and also by Henk from Philips, which is about allowing sharing data across industries or within even one vertical industry. And I believe the European Data Governance Act, which will be released by the EU soon, I understand in November, will offer a legal framework for these data spaces for different vertical industries like manufacturing, also Green Deal, sustainability, mobility, health, finance, energy, agriculture, public administration. So basically all the industries which we in Europe can also play our strengths out. And of course, it will also allow for collecting data via these spaces. Secondly, the AI testing infrastructure which is provided by the digital innovation hubs, which I believe is also a very good infrastructure setup, which we can utilize to really uptake AI, foster and utilize data in a free anonymized room to understand how we can deploy good solutions for our customers. And so in addition to that, I think what we still need to continue working on is that we ensure that data, as I said before, is also allowed to be used in an anonymous way, so that we can test out the options of what machine learning and AI can deliver to us, and how we can provide sustainable solutions to the society, in particular also meeting the demand of the society, where we are providing solutions with industry automation, being healthcare environments, being mobility, etc. So I think this, investment in digital innovation hubs should definitely continue. I believe companies like Siemens should also be used as guiding and also guardian angels to help connecting with the startups, as well as SMEs with the startups, like Rasmus was alluding to before. And I think we need to still ensure that intellectual property to a certain degree is also secured when we allow for these data spaces, which means that on the one hand, we need to allow for data exchange, but on the other hand, we need to ensure that the IP is protected, which is then to a certain degree also maybe displayed in some areas where the public sector data is opened up. So I think it's a full bunch of additional needs, but I think we are on a very good way, and I'm trusting the European community and Commission, as well as our state, all of our European states, that we are getting there for the goods.
Thank you, Hannah. So now time is running. That is, but as usual. Now we prepared so many more video statements, and these we have, and these we will share, and you will all see them. But I guess we should use the time for the people that are here. And I would like to give Rasmus Rothe and Wolfgang Walster a chance to sort of sum up. And I have this question for Rasmus Rothe. I'm looking forward to his answer. Now, Rasmus, do we have the right initiatives or too many in Europe? And then, is the EU focused on uptake and deployment, or on administration and bureaucracy? I mean, I hear these questions very often. So Rasmus, now it's your time.
Sure. Thanks for the questions. I think in general, like I also looked at the white paper by the EU on data and AI like earlier this year, and like there's 20 pages on regulatory and 4 pages on building a great AI ecosystem. And I think that's ridiculous. Like that should be at least equal, or ideally even the other way around. I think we, like in Europe, we always have this idea, and like we see how hard this is now with Google and Facebook, that we try to regulate things, once they're there. And I think that's super hard for AI, because all these companies are super global. It's very hard from the outside to regulate them. So I think our best way actually to regulate them is to rather make sure that we build a great AI ecosystem here with our values, and thereby indirectly regulating them, than later trying to regulate what's already there. So I wish there would be a bit more balance. And I think in general, like also when I read this white paper, it's always talking about risks of using AI. But like, if I want to make it very concrete, like in our case, we do breast cancer detection. Right now, 20-25% of cancers are missed by radiologists because it's cognitively a very difficult task. Now, the human with the machine together can reduce the error rate significantly. Now, isn't it a risk to not use AI? Because basically every year we will not use AI, many people will die because of breast cancer. And so I think like talking much more, also just changing the narrative and talking more about opportunities, and also how it can very concretely help also society, and every single person in our society would be super important to give this whole also a more positive spin, because I think otherwise we're always just talking about the negative things. Now on a kind of financing and supporting perspective from the public sector, I think we all agree that we need lighthouses and create clusters where we can really also put like a lot of energy, focus and money behind it. But I think sometimes we should do a bit more of the watering can approach, so the Gießkanne, because I think like similar to like venture capital, where you also kind of in the end spread capital and efforts around a lot of initiatives, and then maybe come back after a year and see, hey, do you give them more capital, or do you just close it down? I think we should also think more in that direction from a public sector perspective, and basically like trying to also sometimes maybe doing a bit of the watering can and then seeing if things grow. And if they don't grow, then they won't get any more funding. But I think that way we could much more naturally also grow these lighthouses instead of kind of putting kind of all the money and efforts behind existing initiatives. And so that will be my wish. But overall, I mean, I'm positive that this topic of AI and data is definitely on the political agenda, and like people putting a lot of effort into it and also taking this very serious. So as an optimist, I'm looking forward to the next couple of years.
Rasmus, that's being an optimist. That is sort of my part. Really optimistic about this. Now coming to Wolfgang Wahlster, and Wolfgang Wahlster is in artificial intelligence for sort of 45 to 50 years. AI systems are getting more important in mission critical decision situations that we see, and that's good. So 2 questions. Do you think explainable AI can become a competitive advantage for EU companies in a global scale competition? And what can we expect from hybrid systems that combine deep learning, machine learning, and model-based symbolic knowledge processing?
That's a very important question, because I think in symbolic AI, various explanation components are already available since quite some time. Actually, my own PhD thesis more than 30 years or 40 years ago, it was about automatic explanation of the reasoning of AI systems in an argumentative dialogue. However, with symbolic, this is easy. With sub-symbolic and statistical methods in AI, especially with neural computing, explanation is much harder. In our deep learning center at DFKI, we have developed some first initial very simple methods to explain some of the image understanding based on neural networks. But it is important to combine neural network methods, sub-symbolic, model-free methods with symbolic knowledge about causal relationships, as it was done, for instance, in dynamic Bayesian networks already. Today, knowledge graphs, which are extracted by natural language processing from documents, can help to filter wrong propositions which were derived by purely statistical model-free learning. We often find so-called pseudo-correlations, which are nonsense. And of course, we have to get rid of this nonsense, because sometimes purely statistical machine learning can create a lot of, let's say, pseudo knowledge and even garbage. And this can be filtered away by looking at models, which we all have, especially in Germany with all this engineering knowledge. And for instance, companies like Siemens, SAP use already such knowledge graphs very successfully to get rid of learned propositions which would be wrong. So I think it's very important to create such trustworthy AI systems based on explanation components. You're right.
Okay, so thank you again. In parallel, I just remember to have a look at your promotions or dissertation. That was 1981, so 40 years now. Next year, almost 40 years. Okay, Thomas. Now, if we look on the watch, it's 11:38. We wanted to move to the iSpaces ceremony, but being the president of BDVA. Can you now just a short 5-word summary of what we heard?
Yeah, of course. I have 3 statements. First of all, let's say I apologize that we have some difficult start, but nevertheless, it makes also for the conferences a little bit fun that everything is not running so smooth. Second issues, of course, to the complete panel participants, many thanks. And as you said, Reinhard, also the recorded videos and the other messages. Of course, you know, we have a 3 days conference. We put it inside that everybody can look inside. And last but not least, and let's say this is a little bit a sad topic, you know, and I mentioned this in my opening, that 2 years ago we were in Vienna. I think it's also good to remember that nowadays, to be precise, yesterday there was an attack, and I think we have also to think about what is happening in Vienna, because the last 2 years ago, the CIS conference was nearly at the same time in Vienna. So that's, let's say, what I want to close. Maybe in this not nicest messages, but nevertheless, I think respecting the people, the facts, it's also must which we have to do. And many thanks to all of you, and many thanks participating in the panel. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
So thanks a lot, Thomas.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you to Hannah Hennig. Thank you to Henning Kagermann. Thank you to Wolfgang Walster. Thank you to Ina Schieferdecker. Thank you to Rasmus Rothe. It was nice to have you. And now we move on in the program, and we switch to the Zoom conference stream for the iSpaces ceremony. So Andreas Schepers at DFKI Production Center in Berlin for this opening ceremony. Can you please go to the iSpaces ceremony?
Perfect. Thanks a lot for the panel.
Start.
Hi, good morning, everyone. So the sun is rising in Berlin from behind me, but I'm, of course, as everyone, virtual and based in Paris. So this is my pleasure to welcome you in this iSpace ceremony, this award ceremony. This is the fifth one in EBDVF story. We will explain you again what are those iSpaces, together with my colleague Daniel Alonso from ITI. And so let's start right now with the description. So sorry, I'm Laure Lebas from SAP and also Vice President of BDVA. So what is this iSpace concept that we developed a while ago before starting BDVA? So this is about, it's not just about infrastructure or bringing all people together. It's really ecosystem, it's research, it's innovation, education, business. You can see them, some of them as data incubator, accelerators, etc. They may contain open data, they may contain public or public data, private data. The idea is really to bring different actors together and really work on those data-driven innovation, to look at the different technologies, make research, to test, pilot, exploit, etc. So we came pretty quick to this label of iSpace to really acknowledge what is currently happening in terms of exchange, in terms of good practice, etc. And the idea is really to go up to this federation on the European level. And also those iSpace could be a nucleus of what we call data innovation hub in Europe. So I pass the word to my colleague, Daniel, who will explain you the label process.
Yes, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for giving me the opportunity to be here again. You mentioned before, this is the fifth year that we celebrate this ceremony. So basically, this is the process that in BDVA we follow to recognize every year relevant initiatives in Europe. The idea is again to identify relevant initiatives about experimentation and innovation on big data and AI, and basically to put all of them, to bring all of them together under this umbrella, which is the iSpaces concept. So basically, every year the BDVA publishes an open call to identify those, inviting all initiatives in Europe. So we publish an online survey to get all the information about those initiatives. We follow a very well consolidated review process, reviewing all those applications, and because we also select an external review committee composed of experts in different domains. So basically, after that, we submit the final proposal to the board of directors of the BDVA, and then we announce the final results to the iSpaces. And the final step on this process, of course, is the trophy ceremony that we usually celebrate, co-located with the European Big Data Value Forum, and this year it's a virtual one. So, and when did the story start? Well, it started back in 2016. It's only 4 years ago, but now it seems a long time ago. The iSpaces concept was included in the first version of the SRIA, the Strategic and Research Innovation Agenda of the BDVA, as a key instrument to foster data-driven innovation. As you can see there, also several achievements were also included in the roadmap implementation of the Big Data Value BBB. As Logo mentioned before, this is our 5th ceremony, and as you can see here, in 2016, BDVA recognized the first 5 iSpaces. The group has been growing during these last 5 years and increasing every year with more initiatives, relevant initiatives in Europe. I have to say that we are really proud not only about the number of iSpaces, but also about the quality, the power, and also the relevance of these initiatives, not only in Europe, but also in their respective ecosystems. And what is ahead of us? Well, basically, as you know, we are now facing several challenges. This year is a transition year, and not only because the Big Data Value PPP finishes this year, and also most likely we will have this new AI PPP running next year. We from iSpaces Group, we want to also to keep collaborating with this PPP, also providing our knowledge, our asset, our experiences. Also, the current Horizon 2020 program also finishes this year. And we also aim to collaborate with the new instrument that the Digital Euro program is also putting in place. For instance, testing and experimentation facilities on AI, but also the European Common Data Spaces. And last but not least, the collaboration among the different iSpaces will be fostered and promoted in the scope of this new project that started this year, European Federation of Data-Driven Innovation Hubs, EUHAS for Big Data, that again aims at establishing a federation of hubs based on big data. So all in all, this is the map of our iSpaces. We didn't put names yet. You will see the names after the ceremony. As you can see here, the geographical extension is quite fair in terms of covering several countries and regions in Europe. Again, it's not only about the number, but about the quality of these iSpaces, and we have this project in place, EUHAS for Data, to create a network and foster collaboration among the different iSpaces. So now, with no more preamble, we will start the ceremony. We will start mentioning the iSpaces that have been recognized this year. There are 3 new iSpaces that are newcomers to the group, but also we are recognizing 10 iSpaces that were before iSpaces but had to apply this year to new the level. We will start by the bronze, and then we will go to the silver and gold level. So, Lo, the floor is yours now.
Thank you, Daniel. So this is my pleasure to welcome on stage the first iSpace in category bronze, so Latvian Digital Innovation Hub from Riga in Latvia.
Hello, my name is Aiga Irmeja, and I'm Executive Director of Latvian IT Cluster Digital Innovation Hub. And we are one of the most recognized IT non-profit organizations in Baltics. We build strong innovation ecosystem and facilitate the development of sustainable industry through digital tools. And we are very proud that our endeavors to foster data-driven innovations is evaluated by iSpace label. So we look forward to being part of Big Data Value and EU hubs for data networks to share, contribute, and collaborate on latest developments on data analytics, global sources, and services. Thank you.
Thanks, I got the next. We start for the silver level and the low. The next one is.
Okay.
So
yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Dimos Ioannidis. I'm a senior researcher in CERT and in particular in Information Technologies Institute of CERT. We are very glad and honored to be part of the BDVA Association, in particular in iSpace. We are confident that through this initiative, we will create synergies that will strengthen the digital transformation, of course, of SMEs and industries, not only in our region, in North Greece and in general, in national level, but also in the wider geographical area. Just to highlight that the infrastructure that we have that is digital and data-driven will be also complemented with an additional open agile manufacturing infrastructure that we will also bring to iSpaces in the near future. Thank you.
Okay, then Demosthenes. Well, I'm saying by the channel that you cannot see the cameras of my colleagues here. I'm going to stop sharing the screen and start again because it seems that the video is not available. Let me. So I guess you can see all the pictures now, and let me just.
Okay, so thank you, Daniel. So the next one is still in category silver, HPC for Poland from Poznan. Adam?
Good afternoon, this is Adam Olszewski. Welcome from Poland. On behalf of 21 members of HPC for Poland, DIH, I'd like to thank you to the organizers. Thank you to iSpaces and BDVA for accepting us in the group. We are hoping to contribute with good services. We received a small souvenir from you, which is still in the box. So I'm now officially unboxing the thing. And I'd like to say that for us, this is a symbolic key to your doors, to your infrastructures, and we are looking forward to co-creating new services, data-driven services, together with all of you. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. The next one is a Smart Data Innovation Lab, which is coordinated by Karlsruhe Institute. We don't have Michael here because he was not able to make it, but he sent us this nice video that we want to share.
Hello, my name is Michael Weigel from the Karlsruhe Institute of Technology. As a representative of the Smart Data Innovation Lab, short SDIL, I like to say that we feel very honored to receive the iSpace Silver Label Award. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Michael. A pity that you're not here with us. So the next one is Aragon DIH.
So Aragon DIH in the gold category now, so from Zaragoza.
Hello everybody. Thank you, Laure. Thank you, Daniel, for this award. Unfortunately, I don't have the trophy with me, so I cannot show it, but I would like to thank you, BDVA and all the organizers for this award. It's been a long time, more than 4 years ago, that we started with this iSpaces network. And I would like also to thank my colleagues from Itainnova and from Unizar and from IAF, from the 3 founders of Aragon DIH. And again, I would like to collaborate with all of you, not only in the data-driven network of DIHs, but all over Europe in any other initiative regarding data. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much, Sergio. So we go to for the next one, gold level.
So, good morning, everyone. First of all, let me thank the BDVA to deliver us this nice trophy. And we are very happy and very proud of becoming a gold iSpace under and together with all the other ones which are under the umbrella of the BDVA. My name is Joan Mas. I am the Director of the Digital Technologies at Eurecat. Eurecat is the Catalan Technology Center. We have been one of the pioneers on big data, on innovation on big data already 5-6 years ago. And we are very happy to say that the Big Data Center of Excellence has grown during 2020 and has become a center for innovation on data technologies and artificial intelligence. And therefore, we hope to see you again in 2021, now with a CDI on board. Thanks a lot, and thanks again to the BDVA.
Thanks, Joan, for the acknowledgement of the trophy.
So the next one in category gold is Shedar from Dublin.
Hello everyone, how are you doing? This is Ricardo, Head of Innovation and Development in CIDAR. So CIDAR is the National Center in Applied Artificial Intelligence and also is the Digital Innovation Hub in AI in Ireland. So you can see this lovely picture there was taken 2 years ago when we were granted the Big Data Value iSpace Silver label. You can see Edward McDonald there with me. Edward is the director of CIDAR and also receiving the trophy there from Lord Levars. And this year, we are very happy and proud to be promoted and receive the iSpace Gold label, particularly as CIDAR is expanding rapidly, and that will help massively. So on behalf of Edward and the whole CIDAR Center, I want to thank the BDVA, Daniel, Laure, Anna, and all the board of directors. So thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Ricardo. Well, I'm saying that you cannot see the cameras of my colleagues, so I'm really sorry for that. We will continue showing the slides, and at the end of the presentation, we will show all the cameras. Okay. So, look, the next one.
Cineka from Bologna.
Hi, thank you. Thank you to the BDVA for the invitation and thank you for the organization. Cineka is the Italian High Performance Computing Center, and it provides to the big data and artificial intelligence communities the ability to make application run faster, thanks to the optimization and parallelization of algorithms and the scaling up of application. So I think all this has been recognized with the gold label of iSpaces. And I thank you very, very much. Thank you.
You're welcome, Roberta. So the next one, also in the gold category, is
EGI from Amsterdam.
Hi, I'm Sada Holsinger. I lead the strategy and innovation inside of EGI, which is a federated compute storage and data management service provider for research and innovation. So on behalf of the wider EGI Federation, we're quite proud of this gold label recognition because EGI actually first obtained the bronze label in 2017, then silver in 2018, and now gold in 2020. So though we don't have our trophy yet, rest assured, as soon as we do get it, we'll show it off. But in the meantime, thanks to Daniel and the BDVA for having pushed us through the years to continuously improve. We'll be sure to continue to work hard to retain our position amongst the others. So thanks again.
Thank you. So the next one is Reis from Luleo.
Yes, thank you, BDVA and everyone for awarding us a gold label again. We are RISE in Innovation Hub in the sub-Arctic area, so it's kind of far north, but we are striving here with our focus is on green computing, data centers, and space data. So it is a lot of data and a lot of compute, and we are supporting the Nordics and Sweden and all of you working in this together with Daniel and others in this big Innovation Hub project. And we are very happy. It has given us such a recognition so far, being a gold for a few years, and we will continue to improve as an iSpace. So thank you again very much from the far north.
Thanks a lot, Top, for the knowledge. So next one, Lo, you can.
Thank you. So we go the other side in Valencia with ITI. Daniel?
Okay, thank you very much, Lord Daniel. Here, Laura Alcina, the General Manager of ITI, and myself, Strategic Intelligence and Technology Transfer Director. Thank you very much. We are very, very proud, and we consider this recognition a very important recognition for us. We consider that the data innovation spaces are key elements for the evolution of digitalization of economy and society, and make more intelligent this society and industry. We congratulate for this to BDVA for starting from the beginning with this model of iSpaces, and we also congratulate all the iSpaces that has received the label, and encourage them to work collaboratively in the EU Hubs for Data project to build the Federation of Big Data Innovation Hubs and also the European Common Data Spaces. Thank you.
You're welcome, Danny. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. So the next one is No Center from Graz in Austria.
Hello, everybody. My name is Stephanie. I'm the CEO of the No Center, and we are very, very proud this year to have received the gold label. We started out 2016 already with a silver label, and have now managed to do the jump. And this is thanks to our accomplishments in the categories projects and business, where we are very exceptionally proud of. And in 2016, we also started a startup, a spin-off of the No Center, and we just managed to get our first exit this year. So this fits to this award, and we're very happy about it. And we're looking forward to working with all of you through the EU Hubs for Data and other initiatives. And thanks to BDVA and Daniel for pushing all this forward.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thanks a lot.
And last but not least, in category gold, Terra Lab, Anne-Sophie from Paris, next to me.
Yes, hello everyone. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to have this label. So Terra Lab is the data and AI platform from Institut Télécom in France, in Paris. This award is really a recognition from 7 years of work and collaborations within France, but also in Europe. Strong relation and big projects like EU Hubs for Data for the last one. So we are very proud of it, and we are here every year, and it's a great collaboration with BDVA, as we have this label since 5 years now. So thank you very much.
Okay, thanks a lot, Anne-Sophie. So now sorry for the technical issue, where we're not able to show the cameras of all my colleagues, but hopefully at the end of the presentation, we will take a picture of all of us. So I encourage my colleagues to switch on your cameras at the end of the presentation, so we will have time to make the whole picture. Okay. So before finishing, I would like just to put names to all the iSpaces that I showed in my previous slide. As you can see here, we have not only the 13 iSpaces recognized this year, but also let me mention the 5 that were not needed to apply this year, which are Gemini Big Data in Norway, coordinated by CNET, L3S in Hanover, Machine Intelligence Garage in London, coordinated by Digital Catapult, Technical University of Madrid, UPM in Spain, and also AHEAD, which is the iSpace coordinated by Demokritos in Greece. So all in all, this is the whole group. Again, we are very proud not only of the number, but also of the quality, relevance, and as you can see, as you have seen, the implication of all iSpaces in the activities of the group. So now, before finishing the ceremony and giving finally the talk to Lo, I would like to encourage all DIH working with big data, artificial intelligence, experimentation and innovation to apply for the label next year. We will promote the label accordingly, but also we will publish the guidelines and also the questionnaire for next year. So please stay tuned to our social media and web page, because we will publish the instructions very soon. Okay. Laure, I don't know if you want to say something just to finalize the session before doing.
No, thank you. Thank you, Daniel, for the big work behind it, because it's not so easy, but it's a long process. But again, the idea is really to come together as a community all over Europe, whatever it takes today, and making sure we go beyond on this data-driven innovation. AI is also very important. So as Daniel mentioned, please apply next year as well. We have seen also over the last 5 years different progress, and hopefully many of you apply for the first time or apply from bronze to silver to gold, and we hope to have more and more of those gold next year. So thank you all, and we wanted to do this. We could have recorded videos and having so some didn't receive the trophy, some received it, but it's still at the office, and because of lockdown they cannot show it. But we still wanted to make it live, so whatever technical issue we may have, but at least really to show this community and this federation all over Europe. So now I ask all of you, whoever has a trophy or show the one from last year, we don't care, nobody will notice, and we can make
Thor, can you switch on your screen, please, so your camera?
Thor, Björn?
Okay,
yeah,
perfect.
Thank you. So we have everyone of you.
So congratulations to all of you. Thanks for attending. Thanks for your effort, and sorry to the audience for the technical issue. Thanks again. I will take the picture, and we are basically done.
Yeah, and applause to everyone.
Okay.
Thank you, and goodbye, and enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thanks, Daniel.
Daniel.
Okay, so we are back. Thank you very much for the iSpaces ceremony. That was interesting too. Now, I see it's wrap-ups and closing remarks. That is what we have to do, Thomas, right now.
Yes, we can make it
hey,
short.
come on, start with a wrap-up.
I think starting with a wrap-up, I think, we're starting this morning with a short opening, let's say, from the organization taking care of this. Again, many thanks to our sponsors, partners who make this possible, this event. Plattform Industrie 4.0, Plattform Learning, DFKI, regarding organizing this all around. Then I think we have some time of really impressive political speeches, a lot of messages are giving to us also what are the next steps, what are the next ambition level, what we want to achieve. And I think we have also a wonderful panel where we're reflecting this. And not to forget Volker's keynote in between, where I was already running around to get something fixed, which you can imagine. But this is live, that makes fun. And also many, many thanks to all and congratulations to all the iSpace winners, and I think all of us have now deserved a break. We are starting again. I have to look at 1:30 with let's say first horizontal track or focus track about European data spaces. I think when you're thinking about what was addressed regarding data, it would be let's say a very good session. And I promise you, this was a demanding morning for all of us. But I promise you also the next days that are demanding sessions because now we are digging into the technical details and what we have to do together and to discuss together all over Europe. Many thanks from my side.
Okay, Thomas, so thank you very much. Thank you for this chance. Thank you for this morning, everybody. Now, as I mentioned in the beginning, we had to move from a Plan A conference with real people in real Berlin and in real rooms and real meetings and everything. Now we switched to this virtual format, and this was made possible by the service company, the service people that we work together, and the company is named GATE. So G-A-T-E, GATE. And they did a very good job, and they were dynamic. We had to improvise, but that's okay. I mean, that is really okay. So thanks again to GATE. Thanks again to DFKI in Berlin. Thanks again to Andreas Schepers. He was doing the production. He was the production chief of this morning. And that is basically what we have to tell you in this moment, except as I mentioned before, we had really some more interesting videos. We were running out of time, but they are recorded, and that's good. So we will share it with you. We will tell you where. There will be a way. That's okay. Thanks again to the people that gave us their thoughts in advance. And as Thomas said, I guess now it's time for lunch, and we have a break, and the conference will continue with the focus tracks, European Data Spaces main session, and that is 1:30 p.m. So have a good time, and I hope to see you again. Thomas, it was fun. Thank you.
Yes, for sure. Thanks a lot to all, and also for the GATE colleagues, and especially to Andreas, and to you. Moderator.
Thank you, Thomas. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks a lot. See you later.
Bye.